Hello and welcome to our latest fund manager interview. Today I have with me Kirsty Desson, who is the co-fund manager of the Aberdeen Standard Investments Global Smaller Companies Fund. Kirsty, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
So Kirsty, the fund is a concentrated portfolio of around 50 high quality sustainable growth businesses. So what sort of qualities do you look for in a business?
You're right. So the fund is structured around three core characteristics of quality, growth, and momentum. But what do we actually mean by that? Well, first of all, when we're looking at quality, the kind of factors that we're looking at are things like strong balance sheets to be able to withstand periods like the one that we've just been through and to be able to grow the company independent of bank financing or equity financing. Secondly, we look for strong management teams that are able to deliver on the strategy that they've laid out. And thirdly, we look for really clear competitive advantages. When we add that alongside sustainable, consistent growth and upwards earnings momentum, these are the kind of stocks that we look for in the fund.
And out of the thousands of smaller companies that are listed worldwide, how do you narrow down that choice?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's 6,000 stocks in the universe, so it's an enormous universe. And really, for us, the only way to consistently and objectively screen the whole universe, you have to have some sort of quant tool. And so in our case, we've developed a quant screening tool, which we call the Matrix, which is centered around those key investment philosophies of quality, growth, momentum. And it gives each stock in the universe a relative score to be able to help us prioritize our research efforts.
And are there any particular themes that you're investing in at the moment in the fund?
Yeah, I think there's some really interesting themes that we're seeing emerging across the portfolio. With three themes that I would highlight in particular. Firstly, green initiatives. So over the last couple of years, we've certainly seen a lot of interest in EV vehicles or green energy, but we're seeing that starting to expand to a much wider range of industries. So for instance, in packaging or in food industry or even in textile printing, we're seeing a move to greener, more environmentally friendly solutions. We've just bought a stock in the fund called Corbion, actually, which is a Dutch food ingredients manufacturer, and they've developed a special type of compostable packaging out of lactic acid, and Danone has just bought that for their yogurt pots. So I think there will be continued focus on green initiatives. I think we'll continue to see money going into digitization. Again, digitization across a number of different industries, be it banking or in education. We're seeing it in even in the use of manuals. Manuals are switching now to online platforms to make them more user-friendly. And I think given what we've learned through COVID and being able to work from home, we're far more digitally aware. And that process to move to digital solutions has actually accelerated. And the last interesting theme that I would highlight is lifestyle. And again, this is something that I think we've noticed during the lockdown period. And there's a change in consumer behavior whereby we're spending a lot more on our houses now, home improvements, and we also want to spend more time outdoors. So we're seeing a lot of people spending money on maybe landscaping or outdoor activities as well, such as hiking or fishing, those sorts of outdoor activities. And so we're seeing a big revival in those sorts of activities. And I think that's going to continue for 2021.
And the UK accounts for around 10% of the fund. Are these the best of the best UK smaller companies at your disposal? And could you run through a couple of stock examples?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the UK market's actually looking quite interesting now that we've got through Brexit and the vaccine rollout has been going very well. So a lot of the UK names which underperformed last year are starting to actually perform very well this year, particularly as valuation in a global context looks quite cheap. But two of the largest weights that we have are Keyword Studios, which you may already be familiar with. So Keywords is the leading provider of outsourced services in the gaming industry. So they provide all the background information that goes into a game, like the localization, the sound effects, quality controls, the testing. So if you're playing a game where you're running through a street in Marrakesh or somewhere, the sign behind will be consistent with what it should be. So it will say whatever street in Arabic, and it's Keyword Studios that make sure that that's all right. The other name in the UK, which is a global leader, is Genus. And again, a lot of investors may already be familiar with Genus. They are one of the largest genetics companies in the world. And they are seeing enormous demand coming through, particularly from China, where we're seeing a rebuilding of pig herds in China after African swine flu. And these are multi-year programs, so there's a high degree of visibility in Genus's outlook.
And in terms of other country weightings, the most significant exposure is to the US, which accounts for around half of the portfolio. What sort of sectors and types of businesses do you invest in?
The US is, I mean, for us, it's a really exciting market. It's a very diverse market. It's highly entrepreneurial, and the domestic market is so large that it provides a great base for these small cap companies to develop their art and expand and grow to a scale before they then move to international markets. So some of the interesting names that we have in the fund are Insulet, which is a breakthrough company in the treatment of diabetes. So what Insulet do is they manufacture these very small, discrete, tubeless insulin pumps that go on the skin, so they fit underneath your clothes. And the beauty is that they can be monitored by your smart device. So this is particularly relevant for populations like children, where it's very difficult for children to either inject or to monitor what their insulin levels are. So Insulet's products allow for these new populations to have some sort of viable solution in terms of insulin delivery. And again, we're seeing a very rapid expansion as Insulet roll out their products, not just through hospitals and doctors, but through pharmacies and globally as well. So that's one of the names that we're most excited about. Another name that we put into the portfolio last year, which a lot of people will be familiar with as a name from the past, but it's reinvigorated now, is Dolby Labs. So Dolby, as you probably know, make sound and visual equipment that goes into your, if you've got a 4K TV, or for streaming devices. So Netflix has signed an agreement with Dolby whereby all their high-end programming will be streamed with Dolby sound and vision attached. And they've also signed agreements with some of the top gaming companies so that you have a very sharp resolution, a brilliant contrast in between in your picture and also in the sound. So we think that Dolby is going to be a great play for 2021.
Kirsty, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.